Welcome to a very special episode, a crossover between two powerful voices, Broken Fathers podcast and Life, the Battlefield podcast. Today's conversation was meant to be about me as a guest, but sometimes when you step into the space that's built on raw honesty, real emotion, you put your story aside and instead you listen. That's what happened today. Because what Jared is doing with Broken Fathers podcast is nothing short of extraordinary. He's creating sanctuary, not just for the fathers, but for all of us who carry invisible wounds. He gives permission for men to feel, to speak, and finally to be heard. So today, I did what I always believed in. I asked the questions, not for answers, but for truth. And Jared, as you'll hear, opened up his soul. This isn't just another episode. It's a reminder that healing begins the moment we stop hiding and start connecting. That's being broken is not the end. It's the beginning of rebuilding something even stronger. To every father listening, or mother, or partner, or friend, may this conversation remind you, you're not alone, your story matters, and together we rise. So let's begin.
Good morning, listeners and viewers, and welcome back to the Broken Fathers podcast. I'm your host, Percy. Now, on the second episode of Percy's Rants, I am pleased to announce I'm joined with Mario Bekes on the podcast. Mario is the Guinness World Record holder for the longest audio podcast in 2023, being 55 hours long, and has dedicated his life to exposing false gurus through human intelligence. Now, Mario spent 1,800 consecutive combat days in war and has an extensive experience as a military intelligence and diplomatic security operative. And he doesn't just speak about resilience, he has lived it on the front line. Now, he's a world-class podcaster with his podcast called Life, the Battlefield. He's a #1 best-selling author with 2 books, Blood-Soaked Soil, his personal journey of surviving 1,800 consecutive combat days in war, revealing the true nature of survival and resilience. And his second book, Corporate and Workplace Investigations, a definitive guide to crime investigation and advanced interviewing techniques rooted in his intelligence expertise. He's a mentor, an inspirational keynote speaker, a human intelligence expert, and additionally, Mario is the founder and managing director of Insight Intelligence Group, where he specializes in corporate investigations, human intelligence solutions, and strategic risk management. He joins me here today. Welcome, brother.
Jared, or Percy, better say Percy,
Thank
because
you.
Guys, I apologize for that. Thank you for having me in your podcast. It's truly amazing. It's a pleasure. I mean, being with Surface Paradise, it's a warmer, but being in your studio, it is true honor. So thank you for having me.
Nah, bro. Thank you for coming up. I didn't want to tell you off camera. I wanted to tell you on camera to keep the authenticity. But, you know, all my guests that come on, I always want to acknowledge that you've flown up here from another city, spent money out of your own pocket, taking time out of your own day. And it was only just this week I learnt from someone that might have potentially wanted to come on that they wanted money to come on my podcast, like their influencers. And in my head, I'm thinking, man, I got this Mario flying up from Sydney, 160,000 subscribers, and he's taking time out of his own day to come on. And there's some people that, oh no, you need to pay me. Like, come on, man. Like, you know. So anyway, back to my side. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on. It means a lot. Got your t-shirt on.
No, I have your t-shirt.
You
Look
got
at
my
this
t-shirt
guy.
on.
It's you know what? You know, like, sorry to cut you off, but you know, when I first time saw your podcast, you know, I mean, on Instagram, you contact me and say Broken Father podcast. It's like this guy has a lot of courage. Look, it's who am I to tell you about courage? You know, I mean, look at how many, you know, I'm not sure can I say where have you been?
Yeah,
it's
of
like,
course.
Your studio, it's truly, you know, reminding me of the person who didn't hesitate to step, you know, on the front line, but not in Australia, you know, almost 15,000 kilometers far away in the Middle East. That's a far away. That speaks the volume of a person and personality, right? So I said to myself, who am I to preach about courage? But the fact it is that you're talking to every father, what they're going through, the people who have no voice, that puts you in my books are being courageous man. While everybody's just talk, you do things. So congratulate you. Of course, I want to be here.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. For me, I'm sure we'll touch on it later. You know, like my daughter's gone now. You know,
I want to know your story. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I remember I'm your guest on your podcast studio. That's I say to you, like, I want to see the face of the man. And again, I'm going to say this, every revolution, its own children. You, my brother, you know, like, I've never been in position, you know, being, you know, my kid. I have only one, you know, I just want to punch him sometimes, but I love him too much. But, you know, why did you start this podcast? This is I want to ask you on your podcast. Why did you, Jared, Percy, I know people call it Percy.
Percy,
but
yeah. It's all good, brother.
Percy, why did you start your podcast?
So over a year ago, my family court battle came to an end. Wasn't the result I wanted. I had to assess my life mentally, physically, financially, and emotionally. I'd sold all my assets, spent over 300 grand on legal fees fighting for my daughter just to keep her in this country. Yeah, 300,000. Yeah. And at the back end, I was actually in the negative, so I borrowed $50,000 off a mate who unfortunately isn't here with me anymore. But once I sold my house, I transferred it back to his mother to give to his son when they're older. But I was in a bad way, and you know, I had to make the biggest decision of my life, and that was to let my daughter go, because my fight for my daughter then it was fighting the system and my ex, you know, and in my opinion, the family court favors the mother, you know, and you're up shit creek without a paddle. And it was either I keep fighting for my daughter and take my own life, or I throw the towel in and live to see another day and not drag her through the courts, you know, for years and years. Who knows when it was going to end. So I moved away thinking it was going to be a fresh start. And during that time, I knew that I needed to find purpose. I know I've got addictive personality, and, you know, for me, in my opinion, if you have addictive personality, if you're going through a tough time and you're bored, that's a recipe for disaster. You know, that's why if I'm going through a tough time, I need to keep myself busy mentally, physically, training, work. But easier said than done. So I reached out to my mate, Matty Morris, that runs Zero Limits podcast, a veteran podcast about that. I said, man, can I come on your podcast? Yes, to talk about military life, but I want to tell my story about family court because I know I can say it for what it is on your podcast and it won't get edited. I trust you. He said, of course. Then he said, well, why don't you start your own? And I said, no one else is talking about family court. I said, you know what? Yeah, I am. And then I just gave me this drive, and, you know, I put a post, and naturally I'm an introvert. A lot of people won't believe that because I'm doing a podcast. Right? You know what I mean?
I couldn't believe it either when I saw it. It's like, this guy must, you know, okay, please.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But all of a sudden I've got this drive. So I'm putting myself out there. I'm putting myself, you know, in a vulnerable position. But I had purpose driving me. And I started with a photo saying, you know, next year I'm going to start a podcast, and just build, and people reaching out. And, you know, obviously this has been going on for a long time, and, you know, it's been happening to, you know, I would say 8 to 9 out of 10 fathers, you know, like I can't prove that. But yeah, this is how it came about. And just the amount of messages that were coming through, was the amount of support was coming through. I was screenshotting the messages and printing them off, and I was making folders to use as fuel. I got to 4 folders and I had to stop because it wasn't going to end, you know. But it was my drive. So, you know, I was working away at the time, but Gold Coast is home for me, and I set it up here. And yeah, well, one thing fell into another. You know, my brother's a graphic designer. I found an editor and bought the kid, and it just sort of all fell into place. And I've just been driving. It's my purpose now. So I want to give a platform for fathers to tell their story, so they can let the Australian public know about, you know, what's going on and how they've been treated. And how
do you understand what did you say right now? Like, most of people are starting podcasts. How many episodes did you have?
Now?
Yeah.
I'm about to drop episode 13 tomorrow.
Okay. Statistically speaking, people start podcasting and they drop between the 5th and 7th episode.
Yeah, right.
So it speaks the volume about you. You know what I mean? Like, when I started my podcast, you know, three years ago, I started because as a necessity, right? I just want to share the story because I have enough of the, can I express myself, bullshit?
Of course, say what you want.
Okay, because YouTube, sorry. Bullshit artists who are lying in our life, you know, like, you need to do this, you need to do that. This is the life, per se, like what you're living. You know what I mean? Seeing these images behind you guys, you know, maybe you saw this, maybe not, but seeing these images from the front line, you know, you don't glorifying only how great you are, it's your mates. And that's what your podcast is about. So like, while everybody talks about themselves, you talk for others. That is a, drive for this society. So imagine how many dads right now, they're listening to you and they're contemplating $300,000. Did you expect that you're going to go to that?
No, I thought, probably stupid of me, I think everyone else thinks that when you go through this for the first time, it's uncharted waters. So this is why I do the podcast, to give all these other fathers, and it's working because they're telling me, man, I'm so glad you told me, because now I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get on that road. I just thought, we'll go to family court, get a co-parenting agreement, and should be wrapped up in 6 months. 3 years later, 300 grand.
Man.
No co-parenting agreement, said no to everything. Allegation after allegation. I was restricted from seeing my daughter. Had to go to DV trial to get a DV, and I won. And only for her to put another one on me a couple of months later. That was about 70 grand to go to, all the time. You get lawyers and use barristers. They got to brief the barristers, and you go to trial, you get to adjourn, you still got to pay the legal team that day. It's ridiculous. And then next thing you know, you're in DV. So you get DV court running simultaneously next to family court, So it's, now that I've been through this is why I do it, because I try and want, because our government encourages DV. Now, people are like, what do you mean by that? Now, I didn't know anything about this. When a female puts a DV on a male, they get a $5,000 grant from the government. Men don't.
Come on, seriously.
No, bro. You can Google it. Watch it.
I don't need to ask Google, ask the father who's there.
$5,000 grant, right? They get a $5,000 from the government. If you're Indigenous, I think you get double. Don't quote me. I think you get 10 grand. Don't quote me. Where when you put a DVL, TPO, AVA, depends what state you're in, you're entitled to women's legal service. Now, there is no such thing as a men's legal service in this country. Zero. There's not even a pamphlet. Women's legal service, not legal aid. I need to make this clear. This is women's legal service. They have a separate funding, massive funding. She was using pro bono government-funded barristers against me. So you were paying for her. I was paying for her. You were paying for her legal team to fight me in court.
And all of what you wanted to be able to see your daughter.
I just want to be in my daughter's life. Am I asking too much?
Sorry, no. Look, I don't know that feeling. To be honest with you, I don't want it.
Yeah, I want to wish upon
nobody, but I'm grateful that I can just on your podcast talk to you about your feelings. You see, when you go in that battle, when you spoke with your solicitor barrister, what was the conversation? What they told you? Don't worry, fix this.
I remember at the start, clear as day, to their defense.
Of course, if you can say this.
Yeah, no. He was saying, so I filed for family court because she just cut comms. I didn't know where my daughter was. I paid 12 months rent up front, bear in mind, 42.5 grand for a 2-bedroom, fully furnished place for them to live in Sheridan Renaissance. But I'm a monster. But, he said to me, listen, before we file this family court, I need to tell you something. Once you file it, there's no turning back. I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm ready. He goes, I don't expect you to understand this, and what I'm about to tell you is not going to make sense, and I don't agree with it, but he goes, you're going to be behind the 8 ball from the get-go. So what do you mean? He goes, because you don't squat the pee. Because you're a father. I said, I haven't done anything wrong. He goes, I know you haven't, but once we file, allegations will fly, and then you'll be... And I was in the driving seat going, whatever, bro. Like, I know. I'll fight for you. And sure enough, we filed it. Next thing, he bashed me, he raped me, he did that. I was like, whoa. And this is the common factor for all fathers. I was in a relationship for 2 years. I've had other fathers on 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And as soon as the relation breaks up, all of a sudden, boom, DV. Now, if you've been with someone for 2, 3, 5 years, wouldn't there be a paper trail of evidence? Wouldn't there be messages from the last 5 years? I can't believe you did this. There never is any evidence because it never happened. But as soon as you break up, they'll go, I can't believe you hit me all that time, because they're trying to insert,
catch up with the bullshit.
Yes, they're trying to insert a paper trail now. It doesn't make sense.
Did you watch the movie Law Abiding Citizen?
I love it.
When he says it's not what you know, but what you can prove.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what they do.
Yeah,
that's what they do. That's how, I don't know what any father who's listening to this right now goes through if they being separated for their own children. Because for you it must be painful, because your kid is not even in Australia. I mean, when I was doing Google research about but then, your posts on Instagram speaks enough for every father. But then I pick it up that your daughter, she's not here.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you, as a father to father, how do you feel knowing that your daughter, she's not even in the same country? How do you think now the court looks this? Mother, she's gone with your daughter some other country. It's not far away, I presume. Right?
She England. Yeah. The mother of my child's from England. Like, I regret serving my country. I'll never ever wear my medals to this country again.
What? Really?
I'll never. Like, they thanked me for my service, and as soon as I got to the court, they used my service against me. And it's another tactic that they're using against veterans now. So, because if you're a veteran, they know for a fact he has a psych record, and we already know who to subpoena. So we will subpoena the Australian Defence Force. Whereas my ex, she's from England, you can't just do a general subpoena. You need to at least know her medical practitioner or the GP's name. She refused to give the whole time. Now, bear in mind, my psych record was clean. I discharged in 2012. In 2018, I got diagnosed with PTSD and it went through Department of Veterans Affairs. So this is the stigma behind PTSD. There's a stigma. Oh, he has PTSD. You know, no. Yes, for some, sure, there's for some people. But there's some people that can, and I know there's a difference between PTS and PTSD. But so they use this against, and they're like, oh, Mr. Purcell's a trained killer. He's been to multiple deployments, seen combat. I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? Oh, is it true that you're a weapons trainer overseas? Like, what does this have to, this is irrelevant, right? But this is what they use against you, you know? So, and the fact that I'm a veteran, I don't expect free treatment because I'm a veteran, but I definitely don't expect not to be given a voice. And from day one in that family court, day one, every government agency involved in that family court is like a ICL, independent children law, that represents the child. You have like the family report writers, and they all just defended my ex. She wasn't even a citizen, and she was a stripper, and criminal record, hefty criminal record from back in England. It all goes off what the mum says. Oh, he's a junkie, he's this, he's that. Let's have to run around and get drug and alcohol testing, hair follicle test. Why? Because she said so. Oh, he needs to do a parenting course because she said so. Where's the evidence? She could say, oh, I got on a spaceship and went to NASA. Where's the evidence? Oh, but it's an allegation, so we better look into it. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous.
England.
So, yeah, sorry, back to your question. How do I...
sorry, but just...
No, you're right. It's, for me... So there's this... They have a transcript that they write in court. The one day, throughout 3 years, I always rocked up to every court date because, you know, your legal team will say, look bad. Yeah. There was so many times she didn't rock up. The one day I didn't rock up was the day I broke. I already signed the agreement before she left. I broke. And the judge said something. It's hard for me to read because I get emotional. I'll try and keep it. So the judge says, you know, and it is in fact in many ways, in my view, on balance, the most clear expression of the father's love of his daughter that he's permitting her to relocate in circumstances where he may never have a relationship with her for many years, if ever. And that court system waited 3 years to defend me. I jumped through every hurdle. Anything they threw at me, I went and did. Supervised, unsupervised, this, that, courses. And then they waited 3 years for me to break, and then the judge goes, he stood up for me. Too late, mate. You know. So all I can do now is I can stay down in the dumps, which is very easy to do. I don't judge any father that's stuck down in this dumps because it's hard to get out. Or I'm blessed because, you know, when my parents were around, there was no social media. So if they were going through this, all they could do is maybe hope to write a letter and that their child will get it. The reason I don't write letters because, one, I don't believe my daughter will get them. So now what I do is I have this platform where I can upload time messages and leave it time and date stamped. You know, me and my family, we can make an email for my daughter and we can just write emails to, and then if we see her again, we can give her the email. She can log in and see all the messages, you know. So that's the beauty of today's technology. But, you know, I have faith that she will come back looking for me one day and I'll have all this evidence here, time and date stamped, because she'll try and get brainwashed. You know, there's a lot of, that happens out, there's a lot of brainwashing, but she's high level autistic, so she's a very smart girl. I know she'll come back looking. And when she comes back, I'm going to have all this there, time and date stamped, you know, so.
You know, for me, the hardest thing to see men crying. You know, I never saw many men cry in my life. Most of them who I saw that cry, they, you know, that was the last thing I saw on them. So you showing your emotions on your podcast. I mean, this is not scripted podcast.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be your guest. Where's my chocolate? Yeah, we agreed that jar of Nutella. For every father listening, you know, this is what you're going to go through. Like I said, I had no experience with this thing at all. You know what I mean? And I can't even imagine what you're going through. But I'm glad that you're talking about these things. Recently, I spoke with somebody in Sydney. His name is Greg McFarland. He's published a second book, and he said exactly same thing as you said. He said, I don't say that it's wrong that there's a woman shelters and all these things, protected, guarded. He said, but where is for the man?
That's right.
And I'm the man, like, you know, like, let's go. I don't talk about genders, but for me, you know, male, female, that's what it is, boom. But even male goes to breakdown. You know, when you're in the military, you agree with me. Military is a greatest organization. Everything has compartment, emotions, the marriage, the this and that. But have a purpose. You know, you've been overseas, you've been deployed. You try to protect this planet Earth from the bad people. But when you come home, the same society who has praised you to do things in the name of the freedom and democracy, to strip you away from the dignity. Yeah. And that's what I think you lost dignity. Am I correct?
Yeah, I lost everything, Joe.
Because I didn't know. I was thinking your daughter, she's New Zealand. Sorry.
No, it's okay, brother. No,
she's England, man. Jeez, man. That's...
I didn't think taking my daughter, anyone's child that's born in Australia out of the country I didn't even think that was an argument you could have. I didn't even think it was an argument that you could... But of course, the judge was like, no worries, what's the argument? So of course, what's her game plan going to be? To paint me out to be the biggest monster in the world. And I upload, like I found all my old photos. There's the old video I found from 2023 when I finished the DV trial. I recorded so it's fresh. And I'm going to leave all these upload lives for my daughter to find.
She's in England, right? You know what I mean? And you were worrying that she doesn't see it. But you see what you did. You know, that's... Would you say to every father to start doing this digital deposits, you know, like sort of like you know,
leaving
videos,
a diary, like a digital diary.
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, I'm sure people might try and hack me to shut me down. I don't know. Maybe Bekes might pay someone to try and shut me down because she's, you know, that type of woman. But, you know, for me, anyone that knows, like, if anyone sees the videos and photos of me and my daughter put up, you know, you can tell my daughter, she ain't scared of me. You know, she claims that I'm a big monster. Like, you know, it's silly. And I know my daughter, she's very, very, she has sensory processing, daughter speech. I've never heard her say a word to this date, you know.
How old she is?
She just turned 4 in April.
Nice.
Yeah. But I know when I walk into a room, like, she has this cheeky thing, like, I could walk into the room and she'd have her back to me, but I could walk in the room quietly and she would, like, look to the corner, like, she'd know I'd be there, you know. She'd have a little smirk. Very hard to get eye contact at that point in time when we're there, maintain eye contact, but she's very smart, like, you know, I teach her to jump in the pool. She might not look at me if I say 1, 2, 3. On 3, she knows to jump. Like, she's very, very smart girl.
It's not to comfort you, but I remember when I was interrogating people, and you know, I saw these people. They, after my interrogation, they're going to go obviously to judicial process, and 20, 30, 40 years life. And I always say, like, time, it's a most valuable commodity in life.
Can't buy it.
Exactly, but you have time. Your ex, she doesn't have time. You see, whatever she did, I said to people, whatever it's been done to one point in time, all damages, you know, I took my daughter, my son, whatever, you know what I mean? Time, you can't stop the time. Your child's going to grow up. It's going to look for you. And trust me, they'll not ask how terrible monster you were there, but you're going to ask you, Dad, why I couldn't talk to me? You're going to say this is digital track.
Yeah.
But don't forget, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, mobile phones coming.
Yeah.
Mommy, she has no time. Soon your daughter's going to start searching for you.
Yeah.
And once you start searching for you,
that's right.
She's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know, it's not easy. It's not a comfort. So.
No, it's okay. Yeah, look, once she left the country, she broke contact, which I knew was going to happen. She emailed me on Boxing Day last year. And I thought, I might have some Christmas photos. No, it was just, I want your address and I want your friend's address. One of my best mates, Junior, he's very vocal for me, what I've been through. And I replied like, oh, Merry Christmas to you. You know, how's our daughter? Any photos? And she goes, no, I want your address because if you release that episode, I'm going to sue you. And I said, you know what? I'm not living on your terms and conditions anymore.
That's correct.
You controlled me for many, many years. I don't know how it happened, but I just fell into, I was paralyzed. But from here on in, I'll be living life on my terms and conditions. Now, I'm going to show you the respect that I shouldn't really have to show you. But in 7 days' time, so at that point in time, in 7 days' time, I'm releasing the episode. And you might want to tell the truth to your family because it's all going to come out. Now, she came from a Christian.
Now you are answer everything. You see, you can't control environment. That's what I said to people. Like, doesn't matter what I do. You know, I'm 53 years old. Like, I was in Thailand, I told you. So anyway, it's a beautiful. It's a people are warm. They're all these, you know, big, open-hearted, you know, Thai people. But there's far too many tourists, right? And we went in some nightclub and, you know, everything was perfect, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I saw it starting some sort of, you know, pushing. It's going to be fighting, I mean. And the people I was with, they were like, oh, God. I said, like, you see, you can't control environment. We come here for the fun. But, bro, there's other people have a different plans. So your missus, she can't control environment.
Yeah, that's right.
Her family watching you, listening to you, everything else. So, like, and I was watching not one, but several episodes of yours. You show the dignity. I never heard that you say something derogative. That's what makes you the human. So congratulate you on this.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, one thing I've noticed when I have fathers on, they won't lower themselves to their ex's standard, you know? Yes, they talk about what's happened to them, but then they don't come on to bag it. They tell their story, what the ex has done to them, but they don't come on to bag out the ex, you know? And, you know, perfect example, my episode 2, he fought Ben Carey, he fought 12 years to get his kids. The ex would
12 years
would refuse,
man,
back and forth.
That is
and you know when he
insane, man.
12 years later, he finally got his kids.
Yeah.
You know what he did? Wow. He could have been a piece of shit and said, "Oh, you're not seeing the kids." He didn't lower himself to her standard. He said, "You know what? I've got the kids full time, but I'm still happy for you to see the kids on the weekend." This is something that she never offered him. But 12 years later, instead of him keep feeding her the same medicine, he doesn't. He goes, "Listen, I'm happy for you to still see the boys." She goes, "Nah."
Percy, I need to ask him. I have a burning question in me. Like, I want to find out. Like, I know I'm a little bit older than you, a lot. But the thing is, like, I try to understand even today. Why the women love to hurt men?
Yeah.
You know, this is what I try to understand. Like, you know what I mean? I don't say like the man, it's excluded from that club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you see this family law, can you just maybe explain to me as a man to man, you know, like why the women love to use our stupidity, being naive, giving them all informations, sharing everything possible about us, every weakness and everything else, and then end of the day,
use it against you.
They're just humble like a tall man. Can you just...
That's the $1 million question. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer because everyone asks
okay,
that.
everybody asks. Okay.
But you know what? It's crazy because I have a lot of support from women, especially that have a partner now that are dealing with the old ex, and they see what they're putting them through. And they're like, what's going on? So even I have heaps of women comment like, "I'm so sorry." There's women out here that do that. I think it's more a mental. Are they narcissistic, controlling? Like you know that BPD stuff like that. Like that plays a part. You know. And they're using what I call the carrot. They're dangling the carrot, your children, to get something. Like, these new laws that came in coercive control, that's been happening for a long time. I was coercively controlled. Fathers got to go through family court of being coercively controlled.
Jeez, man.
I'll let you see your child, but I want more money.
More money, yeah.
I'll let you see your kids, but you know, I want more of the property. I want that. That's coercive control. So if these so-called coercive controls are in place now, every father should be lined up at the police station, putting a protection order on there. Let's see if it actually happens. I bet it doesn't.
You know what? Like I heard this last week, you know, in my podcast, this guy Greg, and it's exactly the same. But they call this on a court personal disorder board or something.
Oh, border personality disorder,
BPD. Yeah. That's what you say. Yeah. I said, what does that even mean? He said they don't need to educate them on narcissism because they need to call psychologists, psychiatrists. I said, like, but what magistrate says, you know what I mean? Even magistrate, if it's a man, he could go to that, you know what I mean? Why nobody pays attention in underlying conditions of the person, try to portray you as an animal, like in your case, your ex, you know what I mean? This is what I understand. Why nobody...
But yeah, I remember probably towards the back end of family court, I remember the ICL, it stands for Independent Children's Law. We actually got her on our side. She could see like the true colours shown.
Yeah.
And we asked, my ex needs a psychiatric assessment. And the Independent Children's Lawyer said, yeah, we agree. I'm like, finally.
Yeah.
So we say to the judge,
Yeah.
we've got the Independent Children's Lawyer on board. We believe she should have a psychiatric assessment done. You know what the judge said? And to his defence, I kind of agree. He says, yeah, we can get a psychiatric assessment done, but it's only going to tell me what she tells psychiatric assessment. You know, like, you know what I mean? And
I saw him laughing. I know he's not funny, but this is like...
I think it's kind of true because she could sell ice to a, you know, what do you call it? Igloo man, like, you know, she could sell oil to, you know, an Arab in Dubai. Now, if she's just going to tell the psych, oh, there's nothing wrong with me, it's all him. And that assessment's just going to tell the judge the same thing. Oh, it's, you know, she's a victim of DV, blah, blah, you know. So, like, I kind of get why the judge said that. Why, you know, when we broke up, she called my mother and said, I'm going to destroy your son's life, and just hung up. That's what she said, and that's what she did. She just...
So can you repeat this one? Who called who?
My ex, when we broke up, she called my mother and said, I'm going to destroy your son's life, and just hung up. And she destroyed my life, my mum's, my dad's, my brother's, you know, everyone involved around my daughter, uncles, aunties, everyone. And that was my parents' only grandchild. And they waited a long time.
See, but this is what I try to understand. What's the drive behind this? See, this is my understanding. Like, you know what I mean? Like, on your podcast, I say, men are not excluded from this. You know, even men narcissistic, men are fucking be freak, you know what I mean? But we're talking now about this, your situation. I try to understand as a human. What is the drive behind these women, man? This is what...
So, when you know, I was talking about the government encourages DV. So, I've had lawyers, everyone will tell you, it's very rare that you'll go to family court and DV isn't involved. Now, the reason is, for example, a couple break up. Now, the female will go to a law firm, and it might be somewhat amicable. They might go just to talk about a property settlement. Yeah. Hey, we're breaking up, we got kids, but we just want to divide the property settlement. Sure. You know, the lawyers will say, no. You need to put DV on them. And they're like, she's like, no, I don't. It's fine. No, because if you put DV, you're entitled to more of the property pool. You're going to get more of this. You're going to get more of that. So the lawyers play a part. And I've said to him so many times, lawyers need to be held accountable. Lawyers are playing a part because guess what? When you go to...
There's the money.
If DV is involved and there's new law passed, Albanese has passed through DV. You're entitled to more of the property. You can even take the dog. I swear on my daughter's life, this is a real thing. You can take the dog. So if you go family court and DV's involved, you're encouraged to more of the property pool. So of course, what does that mean? Anyone who goes to family court, of course the mother's going to claim DV because they're encouraging it because you get more of the property pool. You get a $5,000 grant. You're entitled to women's legal service, which is government funded pro bono barristers. With the last job that I joined, I had 20 days domestic leave. And I was looking at all my leave entitlements. I was like, 20 days deep. They're like, oh, yeah, in case. And if you need to take time off work, you don't need to prove it. You just say, oh, I'm exposed to DV. 20 days, if you work Monday to Friday, that's 4 weeks.
Who's paying for this, man?
Your company. Now, I think each state might vary different. But you see what I mean? Everything is encouraged. DV. I just speaking to a lawyer the other day, who's my friend. He goes, man, everything is a form of DV these days. Everything. There's so many people in prison. I've asked, my dad's a correctional officer, still working 30 years in the prison. I've worked with heaps of ex-cops and I've spoken to guys that have been in prison. So police, corrections, and got inmates. And I asked them the same question. Do you think there's innocent people in prison? They said, fucking oath there is. I'm like, holy fuck. And I didn't realize how bad a breach of a DV was. So if a female has a DV on a guy, they're more than happy to message them, oh, hey, how are you? But if you reply, breach of a DV. No swear words, no. You might reply and it says no contact, breach of DV, cops come throw you in prison. There's people in prison for sending a text message.
You know what? Somebody happened this recently. I know that guy, and he didn't know. He just replied on SMS.
Yeah, got in trouble?
In half an hour, he's been picked up. And I said, like, are you joking me? He said, like, man, do not reply to their messages. If you are even slightly contemplating to say something, don't. He said, spend all night in prison.
And you're like, Cops don't care.
they do
I
their
tell
job,
you, there's
yeah.
no point trying to. There's no point trying to justify and spot. They don't care. They just hang on. But I've got a QPS officer coming on soon, Queensland Police Service, and he told me, mate, some of the stuff that they've told me. He said, mate, we're trained as QPS officers that if we arrive on scene or wherever, even if we believe the male's the victim, we're trained to take him away as a perpetrator. What does that tell you? Our own QPS officers. Train, and I don't know if you know Bettina Arndt, she put in her news article, 2 whistleblowers, currently still serving, they had to blur their face and that. She rocked up to the scene. She's a female officer and a male officer. The lady who claimed to be the victim, the police officer took her away and said, you're not the victim, you're the perpetrator. You're trying to stitch him up. So they arrested her. And she's like, how dare you? I called you. You can't arrest me. They go back to the police station. They got in trouble by the OIC going, you can't arrest her. Why? Because we need to take the male's way as a perpetrator. No.
Oh my God. Look, all this system, I don't say the law, justice is always swift and black and white, but there's always this gray zone. But what it actually creating, if I can ask you, when all this end up, the court, and she flew in England, obviously, how that influenced your mental health? Or maybe you can share with every father what they can expect when they find out in a court that they annihilated against the wall. Or how did you deal? How did you feel?
Yeah,
what was your battles?
Oh man,
demons, whatever you want to call this.
The hardest part of that whole you got the family court system, right? And there's all different titles within the family court, right? You've got the independent children lawyer, you've got the family report, right? You've got all these courses you got to do, hair follicle tests, behavioural. Oh, he has PTSD, so he has to do a behavioural management course, right? All the money. Everyone. The hardest part out of all that family court system was being supervised. So what happens is if your ex puts a DVO or TPO or whatever on you, they'll put the child's name on it straight away. And the police just said, so you might go to work one day, wake up one morning, kiss your kids goodbye, say goodbye, come back, and there's a DVO and you can't enter your house, can't see your kids just because she's gone to the cop shop, put a DVO on you. Just like that. Now, that means when you go to court, the judge is always going to err on the side of caution. So you can have all these allegations that have no evidence, but they need to err on the side of caution because it's an allegation of DV or child abuse or whatever. So you have to go to supervised care. I cannot stress enough the mental impact that had on me. There's all these, I don't know if you've heard that, so there's all these supervised contact centers.
No, I have no clue how this works. This is the first time I'm hearing, so I'm curious. Yeah.
Imagine this building.
Yeah.
These rooms, so 1, 2, you rock up, walk in the room, no bigger than this. And so you have to rock up 15 minutes early, so because they don't want you and your ex seeing each other. So I'll rock up 15 minutes early, I'll walk in this room, the contact center will message her and go, yep, he's here. Then she has to arrive at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I have to be there 2:45, she'll arrive at 3 o'clock. They'll go down, they'll grab my daughter, they'll bring her up, pull in the room, they'll hand me my daughter, they'll say, you have 1 hour. And then 5 minutes to go, they'll go, you got 5 minutes to go. Took me about 3 months. I cried at the start of every handover and at the end. And it's what I call it, and all these other fathers call it, is the stolen generation 2.0. So I don't know if you heard of the Indigenous generation.
Yeah.
By that time, by the time we split up, I hadn't seen my daughter, I think, for about, by the time we got to 5 or 6 months. She was 6 months at the time. I would say about 5 months. So I finally got a court order in. The judge said, oh, yeah, you can see your daughter in the contact center. Anyway, so for the first 6 weeks, I could only see her for 1 hour every Sunday. Now, I had to pay Sunday rate, so that's $100 an hour.
Who are you paying?
The contact center. So you can start a business called Mario's Supervised Contact Centers, right? And then it's just a legit business. And then you can, fathers that have all these court orders, so saying, Sydney, in your area, hey, mate, here's my court orders, I need to be supervised my child. So what they do is they'll call you bring them in for an interview or consult, so you interview them, and then you interview the mother, and then you guys organise that in time, and you just charge them to use this room. So as time went on, I built time. I got 2 hours every second, Saturday, every weekend. Then I had to file interim orders, 10 grand each time, just to ask the judge, can I please have 1 more hour with my daughter? Because she would say no. She could have just said yes, we wouldn't have to go to court. She said no, so I had to burn through money. I think, for the first, 12 months, I had to do supervised care. Then the judge said, to get out of supervised care,
Just like,
you need the family notes from the family contact center notes, letter from your GP and a letter from your psych saying they got no concern. No worries, come back in 3 months. I had it done in the first week. Went and saw my psych, went and saw my GP, got the notes from the contact center, all good. So he's awesome, father, he's always on time, no problem. Same as my GP and my psych. Went back to court 3 months later. Here's all the evidence that you need. Oh, and on top of that, he wanted A, B, and C. So I got him A, B, and C. On top of that, I got him D and E. I went and got another hair follicle test without even his permission. Because, it's just another one. I go, here you go. Because it backdates 3 months where you've had drugs, alcohol.
Sorry, was that hair follicle?
Yeah, because the mother will always say, oh, he's a junkie. So it's a time thing. Oh, he's a junkie, so he has to get a hair follicle test.
You know what, I'm curious, who is advising these women? Because obviously they know, she doesn't know those stuff, you know what I mean? So somebody told her, do this, yep. Because that's the pressure on a human being to spend money, to give up early, and say like, fuck, I can't do this anymore. Sorry, YouTube. I mean, like, makes me angry.
Yeah. Who tells them? Their friends that have been through it, other mothers. 2, the law firms they use. And 3, women's legal service. Yeah. So, back to... So, I went to the...
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing. I'm angry.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's unbelievable. That's
this is all, it's like a cash
cow.
See...
You ain't believe it until you're in it. So... And then on top of that, I did the behavioural men's program.
Oh, come on. Seriously now. Like you...
So, I rock up 3 months later. I gave him A, B, C, D, and E. I'm 10 foot tall. I've got you everything plus some. Give me my daughter unsupervised. You know what he says? He did this twice. He goes, oh, yeah, it's because they're so fucking backlogged and useless. Judge comes in, oh, yeah, I don't have time to read this today. Come back in 3 months. What? Who the fuck are you to play God? I'm a law-abiding citizen. I rocked up here on time, on date, giving you everything you wanted plus some. You should be rocking. You should have read all the evidence we submitted weeks ago through affidavits to the portal, and you tell me you don't have time to read it. This shit was submitted to you weeks ago. Oh, but they play God. Up here, go, come back 3 months. What do you think these fathers are doing? 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, staring at the ceiling and hanging themselves because you're too fucking lazy. You don't have your shit together. Luckily, this is the one time the independent children law actually got involved. That week, she has a bit of pull. She emailed my legal team and her legal team saying the father doesn't need to be supervised. Now, my ex signed it because it would look bad if she didn't, right? Now, bear in mind, at that time, I think I was seeing my daughter 3 hours every second Saturday and Sunday before I went unsupervised. Yeah. Brother, that's $660 every second weekend to hold my daughter. $660. People wonder why is family court so much? Oh, you want to go private family report writer? $6,000 report. Contact center, $660 every weekend. Oh, interim hearings, pay the lawyers. Oh, you're going to use a barrister, you got to pay the barrister. We got to brief the barrister.
Can you imagine just a figure of speech? Like, I don't say it's going to happen, but I believe your daughter, she'll find out, not about this conversation, but all these expenses. What do you think? How your ex, she's going to justify to your daughter and her daughter one day when she finds out, Mom, why dad spend so much money to see me? I mean, after all, kids growing up, right? As I said, like I see my son, he's at 22, he's going to be 23 soon. You know what I mean? And I see him, he's growing up in an amazing man. I try to understand, like, how his mother will tell him one day, I didn't want your father be next to you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to give them an answer because sooner or later, kid's going to ask.
That's right.
And she can't stop this.
No. All my answers are here. I'm doing them daily, weekly, monthly. And when she comes back, they're all going to be here.
What's the other dates? Sorry, I'm just, my brain just not working.
Go.
We're going to order dinner as well here. So like, tell me, when fathers come to you or fathers contact you, do they have the same problems or most of them, they can't even contemplate to fight because $660 for 1 hour?
Yeah. I know a father, he could see his daughter, like, son, I can't remember. I think he could see his child like maybe 3 hours a weekend, but he could only afford one. He like that's just, context. So I call it the blueprint, the cheat code. Every father I've had, it's the same thing. You go to family, they all have to do the thing, DV. So they end up in the contact center, same as me. Oh, he's a junkie, so they all have to do the hair follicle test. Oh, he needs to do the Triple P positive parenting program course. He needs to do the Circle of Security parenting course. Oh, then he has to do. They all do the same. It's all this step by step. God, we all face the same hurdles. Like it's just ridiculous.
To be with your own child.
It's chess and it's like tactics. You know, like the episode I'm dropping tomorrow. He faced rape charge. Right, he broke up. Then as soon as they broke up, he went to trial 13 days straight. 13 days straight in trial. He had 13 people in the jury stand. 13 days later, they went out on recess, whatever it's called. Yeah. They got told to come back in an hour later. So we've got the decision. And he thought, fuck, like he goes, I'm fucked now. Like I'm going to jail. And they said not guilty. And the jury was crying when they handed down the verdict. He never knew why. Later on in life, someone from the jury recognized him in the street, went up and introduced himself. He said, "Man, I'm so sorry. I was one of the guys on the jury. After day one, we knew you were innocent. But for the next 12 days, we had to listen to the bullshit she put you through, and we're so sorry." Bear in mind, the first two trials you went to got adjourned. 480 grand. Years later, 480 grand to clear his name. And guess what? She used that whole 3 years. Women's Legal Service.
I mean, this is the money, when we talk about family law, we talk about children, right? No adults relationship. So like, I never understand how this law of actually functioning, because kid was never harmed. You never harm your kid. You love your daughter more than yourself. I mean, but yet the priority has been put on a mother, not on a daughter. Daughter, she's a leverage to punish people.
Correct.
That's what I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know.
I can't stress enough, my podcast is about broken fathers, but good fathers. I'm not defending the shit fathers.
Yeah, we agree that's from the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, these are all the fathers that are fighting to be in there's deadbeat fathers that have just done the run and they don't want to be in their kid's life. Yet here we have fathers that are spending every dollar they got just to be in their kid's life. What the fuck's going on? And then the Australian government, why isn't there a men's legal service? Oh, if it's 2025, it's supposed to be about equality and pronouns and all these different things, then why isn't there a men's legal service? There isn't. Why isn't there men's shelters? That's
okay. I'm asking you now. Why not?
Well, good question. Which is why my partner Vanette.
I think you should start there. I'm serious. Like you should mobilize dads in Queensland, and so like the first shelter for dads.
Well, me and my partner, she's going to be in the next episode I drop. She's behind Men's Emotions Matter Movement. That's what we're working on. So working on Rally Come On, and we've put the petition in front of them, and we've got a mission statement and the vision statement about what we plan on doing in the future, having shelter. Well, man, guys will have to go home, pack their bags. If there's a DVO and the cops will sorry, mate, you got to go. Well, where can they go?
As I said, this guy, I know him. I said to him, "Where did you go?" I said, like, "Mari, what do you think where I go? I have a car. For 3 weeks, I was sleeping in a car."
Exactly.
He said, "I couldn't go to my home." And he said, "Then again, I've been arrested because I said the text message."
Yeah.
I said, "Are you?" He said, "At least I have a bed." I'm like, "Come on, man." He was spent 4 weeks in prison because there was a backlog something.
Yeah.
So you need to stay in prison. We don't want you close to her. And I said to him, I don't believe in this.
Yeah, it's happening, brother. This is a real thing. This is legit. Where are fathers supposed to go? Oh, the mothers. I'm glad there's a shelter. I know there's general DV. I'm glad there's a shelter for men. But why is there anything about men? The Minister for DV, she's come out, but this handles the law coercive control. Not once in any of her videos she goes, "I'm so happy about coercive control. It provides more protection for women and kids." What about men? You never said the word men once. Like in my footage, I used the real footage of her belting me because, brother, who's going to believe me? Tatted up, wet veteran. Yeah. Blonde, blue eyes. No, who they're going to believe? But even if they do believe, they don't care.
Yeah, that's stereotyping. Yeah, like that's what they're doing.
Profile, yeah. So I used the real footage of her belting me. I've got my hands up running down the street. Was she charged? No. I've got the footage of her assaulting me through the Uber. Was she charged? No. Prove it. Whereas with her, there's a loophole in the immigration system, right? People will come to Australia. Normally, you come here on a tourist visa. If they want to stay, they'll go student visa. And I've talked about this on a few episodes, and there's restrictions. Now, if people come to Australia, they'll try and date someone, and if the relationship breaks down, they'll put a DVO on the person. Now, if you put a DVO on someone, you go straight to a protection visa. Now, that protection visa, not 9 times out of 10, the guys won't fight. The guys won't fight the DVO. They're like, fuck, whatever.
Yeah.
So they'll stay on this protection visa. Now, there's no restrictions. Like if you're on a student visa, you have to be enrolled in a course, attending, paying. It can only work 20 hours a week. If you got a protection visa, kick back, relax, wait for your 5 years to tick up, permanent residence. It's the biggest loophole in the immigration system. Now, this was a red flag in itself. When I told my ex about this, we were together at the time. She goes, "Oh yeah, I know my friend Lauren did it to a guy when she first came over from England." That should have been a red flag, but I had tunnel vision. I was in love.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, I'll talk about it on a few episodes, but, I can't stress enough about that one. That's the biggest one.
What would be your biggest take now, after all this experience, for every father you're advocating for every father, like not just the father, but the mothers as well. We agree both, you and I. I could never understand. My father was being built by my mommy, you know what I mean? But he was a big alpha male in society. At home, my mom, she will give it to him. I couldn't understand, like, dude, you're portraying yourself as a big man, but your wife, she's bashing you, like literally, like, they become drunk, it's all these things. But you speak on everybody's behalf, not just the man. Women can be really victim of domestic violence. I saw it in my own eyes, and I never understood a man who can hit a woman because, bro, like, it's just a woman. But the thing it is, what would be your biggest take for every father who is today going to be charged with domestic violence? Step number one, what would you say to everyone to do it? Police comes and say, like, no, you're a perpetrator, bro. Get out of the house. You can't pick up your undies. What you have on you, just get out.
It's such a hard topic because these days they can charge you with DV without any evidence. So they can go to the cop shop, say XYZ, hearsay, and they come to your house, DV on you. So it's this is very taxing. You have to record everything.
Okay.
And it's taxing. Cameras in the car.
Listen this from the man who's been there. He's here for you. So record everything.
Cameras in the car, front and back. If you do handovers, like I have Ray-Ban glasses that you can record.
Yeah.
You have to day lock everything. And it sounds smart, but it's taxing. Imagine doing that every day. Like, bro, it's so... I would have cops call me. She was living up in Brizzy at the time. I was Gold Coast. Cops from Gold Coast calling me saying, "Oh, mate, apparently at a handover you tried to run her off the highway." I said, "Mate, just call the contact center because there's policies in place to eliminate this stuff. I have to rock her up to the contact center 15 minutes early. Then when it's finished, I have to say 15 minutes behind. Once my ex leaves with my daughter, I have to wait 15 minutes. The contact center says now you can leave. So that's a 30-minute window to ensure that you guys don't make contact, right? Now, if I've run off, I said, "Oh, did she get any photos?" And they said, "Oh, no, apparently you drove off before she could take one." I said, "Of course." I said, did I hit her with the front bumper? And he goes, "Apparently you did." "No worries, so there should be damage on my car, right?" "There should be damage on her car." I said, "Brother, save the time. I'm actually now 2.5 hour drive from Brisbane. You can ring the local cop shop and I'll go there now. It's impossible." I said, "I've got footage on the front of my car. Feel free to drive out here, waste your time, my time, and your boss's time because we're wasting time here." So, the DV don't reply to messages. Once they put a DVO on you or TPO or AVO, they're going to try and breach you. As soon as it's on you, that's where the breach is. Because if they breach you, that's where they're going to try and take you away. This is why, because as soon as you put that TPO on me, I appealed it. So, and I went to court, but it's still on me, but I've appealed it. Now, I was getting phone calls all the time. Try and breach. And I got to the point where I laugh. I'm like, "Who am I speaking to today?" Constant. So I say, "Oh, what funny story you got to tell me today?" "Yep, sure, mate." No, But then you have to go through your bank statements to prove, look, this is where I was at Woolworths at this time. How could I be? But it's time and energy, bro. See, a hearsay allegation costs you time and energy and day out, and it just drains you. "Oh, hey, boss, I got to leave work today because of this." Like, it just drains you. So you got to record everything. Once they put one on you, they're going to try and breach you. I didn't find this out till later. She was going to the cop shop because, linked to the either e-tag thing. When we broke up, like, there was one in her car and my car. I used to pay for everything. So her plan was she went to the cop shop one time and said, "Oh, I want a breach of a DVO." Thank fuck these cops that day had common sense. And they said, "For what?" "Oh, there's an e-tag in my car. I think my ex is trying to track me." Like, lucky the cops there that day said, "No, like, this is just ridiculous." But, they'll try anything and everything to breach you. Yeah. And, like, I had a guy.
This is insane.
Yeah, it is. No, it's unbelievable. And that's why I do the podcast. People aren't going to believe me. People that have been through it or have a friend that's been through it, they go, yep, I know that's happened. Even female mothers that are dating a partner now that have been through it, like the male support, they show me like, man, I'm so glad you're doing it.
Did you have on your podcast mothers calling you or asking
to come on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had
or maybe contact you like in via messages or say like
to say thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get all the time. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm my current partner. We can't see his kids because she's blah 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 XYZ. Yeah. So I had a lot of mothers that seen this because they're dating a father that's still dealing with the old one, and they can see all the allegations, or the current mother, the current partner is filming everything for the father because they're involved in this negative bubble, and they see what they have to do to constantly justify themselves. Like it's.
My God, this is for me. It's.
I had a lawyer on there that haven't released his episode, and he gave some good advice, and no one's gonna listen to it, and I understand why. I remember clear as day before I filed for family court. My mate said to me, "Bro, don't waste your time. You're up shit creek without a paddle," and he was right. But when you're the father in the seat driving, you state of mind, no way, bro. That's my daughter. I'm gonna prove you wrong. So this advice that the lawyer gave. That advice he gave me was correct. And I'm going to tell all the fathers out there that are in the same position, the same advice, and they're just going to tell me to fuck off. And I get it because they're in the driver's seat. They're at that uncharted waters at the start of the journey saying, they're going to prove me wrong. And I hope they do. But unfortunately, they're going to go down the painful road to find out the truth the painful way. And this lawyer said, listen, guys, I can't stress enough. If you guys break up, just walk. Walk from the assets, walk from this, walk from your kids, because if you try and fight, you're going to get hijacked on emotions like I did and many other fathers done, and you're going to lose everything and you're going to end up in quicksand. It's easier to walk. Financially, you're going to be better off because you're going to fight. You're just going to lose everything anyway. Super this, super that. If you just walk, you'll come back. And the interesting thing, let's just say, purpose of the scenario, right? Let's just say from here on today onwards, every father that broke up with his ex, let's just say they walked. Didn't fight for the property, didn't fight for anything. Let's just say they didn't fight for the kids. Even if their ex put a DVR on them, let's just say they just accepted it and didn't bother fighting it. Imagine how quiet the courts would be. The family courts would be empty. Like imagine from here on today, no one fought for the kids after breakup, no one fought DVOs. The courts would be dead. That means judges aren't being paid, law firms aren't being paid, barristers aren't being paid, prosecutors aren't being paid, the independent children lawyers aren't being paid, the family report writers aren't being paid, the supervision contact centers aren't being paid. This is one big cash cow. Even the transcript writers, they write it up on the day. You request a transcript, $500. Or if it's a 10-day trial, they charge you each day. That could be $5,000 to request a transcript. Everyone in that system gets paid. It's a massive cash cow.
That's what, as you're talking about this, I was thinking myself like, what you gave it to me, it's a invoice.
Oh, yeah.
Which every father can face. That's you said 300,000, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But your friend $480,000, it's for the clinic, his name.
And he hadn't even started family court yet. Yeah.
But you're saying emotions.
Emotions. That's what they get you.
How did you go to this? How did you go to this? Now it's how long? It's 1 year? She's not.
We're in court for 3 years, and now it's been over a year since I've seen my daughter. Yeah.
How did you cope with this?
Cope through the family court or just in general?
No, in general, you. Because don't apply to me like, I was in military, I'm the cool.
Oh, no.
Because you're the human, I can see. You are the warrior. We know this, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate this, but
thank you,
now
bro.
as a human.
I've said it before, nothing in life broke me. Deployed, worked in 4 countries, multiple deployments, nothing broke me. Seeing some stuff just like you have, nothing broke me. That family court, having your child, broke me. The government that I once bent over backwards for, gave everything, just like hundreds of thousands of other soldiers. They took my daughter from me. Stolen generation 2.0 fathers in family court in the court system. So being an addictive personality, I knew I had to keep myself busy mentally and physically. I was going back to a big empty house, my daughter's room. I had to close the door. I couldn't keep looking in my daughter's room. So I had to work. I was training. But that's all good when you work and train during the day. What do you do when you go back to a big empty house at night?
That's what I ask you. When you come home,
that's where the demons
reality
come.
hits you.
Yeah. So I was lucky I had a cat and a dog at the time. Fury, my big American XL bull. He was born 2 days after my daughter. They kept me accountable. I love animals. They're very pure. They know when you're down. You know, you'll be down here. They'll just come lie by your side, you know, the cat. And, you know, they held me accountable to make sure that I was feeding them, walking them. Like, I'm a good dog owner. There's some people out there that shouldn't own animals. They buy them and they just, they don't know how to look after them. So he went with me everywhere. I had a big customized dog cage on the back of my ute, beach, everywhere, Muay Thai gym. I went touching the shopping centre sometimes. Like, if anyone asks me, I just say he's a companion dog, but I don't care. But he played a big part, you know, family, support network, you know, my mum, my dad, my brother, my friends, but, you know, having my dog by my side every day, he played a big part. You know, and of course, you know, my daughter, you know, fighting for my daughter, but, yeah, you need to put things in place because, you know, I feel I was trying to do that work the other day. He goes, oh, man, they just put a DVR on me. I'm going to go to court. I reckon I'll get it squashed straight away. And I said, sorry, bro, it's not going to happen. He said, what do you mean? He goes, what do you think I did? I said, no, I'm not saying you did it. Calls don't work like that. You're just going to rock up first mention and they're going to say, come back in 3 months. And then, you know, like I'm sorry, bro. Like, you need to prepare yourself. Like, stuff doesn't get sorted out in the first couple of months of court. Like, you're going to be there for a long time and you better get your bank account ready.
So that's what it is actually. It doesn't sort out in a few months.
No.
It takes
forever. I've got videos. There's barristers, lawyers, both men and female, that saying the family court is biased and corrupt and broken. There's a retired family court judge in 2013, 12 years ago, saying how broken the family court system. A retired family court judge in 2013. You've got Pauline Hands and Jackie Lehman. Pauline Hands has been a vocal for a very long time in Parliament saying how broken the family court system. If everyone's talking about how broken the family court system, why is no one doing anything about it? Why is no one touching it?
That's my next question. Why? You know, like I know it's a $1 million question, but why nobody?
Why the fuck does no one do anything about it? Is it because it's just this ongoing cash cow that keeps everyone employed? You know? The family courts are so backlogged. They're now triple backlogged. So when I went to court, trial, right? If you go to trial, that's supposed to, your courtroom's for you for those couple of days. I rocked up and they said, oh, we can't go in, someone's in there. Like, how? I'm booked for trial. Because they double or they triple backlog the days, hoping that one's going to be finished or pulled before you get there because they're trying to catch up. They're so backlogged. They need a better system in place.
They have they have more better system in place. That's what I was like. Not just more courts, but more staff.
More staff. You know, or maybe have a bit of common sense. And they need, if someone puts a DV on someone, they need to go, right, we're putting this on you, but you're innocent until proven guilty. Not come to your house, take your weapons license, lose your job with this. Okay, you know, or TPO, temporary protection will get put on me. Hey, just let you know, this is temporary. No worries. I'll let my work know, but you don't take my licenses. You don't take my guns. I don't lose my job. I'm happy to inform my work. Hey, look, there's this temporary protection order being put on me. I've appealed it. I'll update you whenever, a year, 2 years from now, what the decision is. Not, you destroy someone's life like that. You go to the cop shop, say XYZ, cops come, sorry, mate, DV on you. And that's it. Take your weapon license. You know, I got a mate run security company, weapons license. Like, just like that, someone could destroy his life. Like, lose your company overnight. All over hearsay. And then what, a couple of years later, you clear your name, but you don't get your reputation back, your business, the time spent. Like, they need this whole DV. It's gone. Everything is DV. You put a remote control too high for you to grab, DV. Everything is DV. Everything is a form of DV.
No, what we become as a society, like, you know, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you are because you love them, you care for them, vice versa. You bring your kids up, you know. But then something's changed.
Yeah.
Like, one person is being painted as an animal, but actually other one, that's I say, like, I try to understand that where is satisfaction coming from hurting on the side? Like, is this like, you know, I believe that what you say, that they have been fed up with their friends and families, for sure. But where this comes from, that satisfaction, and for how long? Because after all, your ex, you know what I mean, she's going to meet somebody, she's going to have somebody. How are you going to justify this one day to another partner, you know what I mean? Because it's going to catch up, you know what I mean? Must catch up with you. Like, you know, whatever she done to you, she's going to do somebody else as well.
Yeah, well.
Not just your ones, you know what I mean? Like, somebody else.
Well, hopefully they're watching so they can dodge that bullet. But Hopefully they're watching. Oh shit, maybe I shouldn't be doing it. But you know what? You know what's more hurtful
Please
is
tell me.
let's just say, even all the pain she's caused me, even still today, I wish her nothing but happy. I hope you find a man that gives you everything that you wanted.
Okay.
Yeah, no, honestly.
You're a
But
better man, yeah.
I hope that man is good around my daughter. You know, mark my fucking word. Because if I hear he isn't, watch out. But and I think she wouldn't let a dangerous person around my child. I'd like to think that. But here's the sad thing. She's been gone a year now. Let's just say she's been dating someone the last 3 months. I don't know. Make it up.
Yeah.
That whoever that person is has spent more time with my daughter the last 3 months than I have in 4 years. In that 12 months when we started court, I spent 49 hours in 12 months. There's 52 weeks in a year. I got less than 1 hour with my daughter a week. Supervised. And remember when I was going to contact centers, you know what would normally happen? I was living 2.5 hour drive from Gold Coast at the time. My parents live in Ipswich. We would all look forward to every second weekend. We'd all drive down to Gold Coast where the contact center was in the rain.
Yeah.
We'd be there, if it was at 10 o'clock, we'd be there 9:45, 10 o'clock. Then she would call the contact center, say, oh, we're sick, we're not coming down. Oh, we'll send a doctor certificate next week. You know, bro, like the pettiness, the evil. Like, and I've said it before, and people are sick of me saying it. Even if my ex was, say, in prison or mental ward right now, I would always take my daughter to the visiting hours every second, whatever it was, every weekend. Because it's not about me and my ex, it's about my daughter. I want my daughter to see her mum. But here I was asking for 1 hour, and she would say no. I would have to go to court, file, intramune, 10 grand just to get 1 hour. She wouldn't even let my parents see their only granddaughter. I had to ask the judge to put their names on the court order. My dad, a 30-year correctional officer, now has to ask permission to walk around with my daughter in a room. You know, like, we weren't even allowed to take photos of my daughter. When you go there, you have to, phones, the contact center take photos of you and your child in the room, and they send it to you after. I have the same bullshit photos for that 12-month period in the same fucking room. I watched my daughter walk and talk, crawl and walk for the first time in that same room, same background. Photos that say no cameras allowed, like the most...
humiliating.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You feel they treat you like a pedophile. Like, no, not the staff. I know they got a job to do, but, it's the most degrading thing ever.
You know what you say something, I'll say something from my experience. You say something very important. You train, you work, but then you come home and your dog and cat look after you. What do you think that your ex, she sleeps well?
I think she's that evil. She does sleep well.
I don't think so. I tell you something.
You know what?
Yeah, please tell me.
I think, I hope so too, but I think as time goes on, like, I'm not going anywhere. This podcast isn't going, these messages are just getting louder and stronger. Doesn't matter. You can I know you can brainwash her as much as you want when she comes back. And this is where I'm blessed that I live in today in this technology where our parents didn't have it.
Yeah, that's correct.
This is the positive and the negative.
Yeah.
And I think it will catch up with it later on as more comes out. Oh shit, like how am I can't brainwash her. Yeah, you can try. And I know you will try. You brainwash me real good. But she's gonna come back and just see these messages, time and dates and 2025, 2002, so, and I think that's when it'll catch up with her. I think she sleeps well now. I could be wrong, but I think as later on in life when she realizes she gets older and she starts asking questions and Googles me and that doesn't make sense. Like what?
I'll tell you something because I said something from my experience and let's go back to the PTSD because as you're talking, I had somebody I want to introduce you. Somebody, she's a psychologist. She's a good friend of mine, Dr. Debbie Colaros. And I said, Debbie, I don't know why I'm gaining weight, but I created the biggest bubble of lies. So my doctor says to me, you train twice per day, this and that. You're still gaining weight. I said, like, no, I don't know. I have no idea. What I did, I was lying. You know what I was doing? 10 o'clock at night.
Eating.
Man, eating.
I eat late at night too.
Bro. And I was like, and it happened to me one night. My son was, I don't know what he was doing. He was born epileptic, so he was 19 years going to the epilepsy. Now he's healthy, has a big brain surgery. Anyway, long story short, it is during the night I heard something. Somebody's walking the house, and I saw this big shadow. You know what I mean? And like, Percy, I want to snitch the life of this. And the moment he says, "Daddy," I was like, and I think he activated something in me. So anyway, I was lying, And everybody says to me, but how come you're not losing weight? You train in the morning, afternoon, the boxing, the this and that, senior citizen, this. And I lied myself. And Debbie, she says to me, tell me something what nobody doesn't know. I said, I don't know. She says to me, are you eating at night? And I was smoking there. I was like, maybe a few cookies. And then she says to me, any experience in your life, doesn't matter, war, this and that, right, is going to kick sooner or later. And for you, it is that event with Matteo trigger even more severe PTSD, which I'd ignore it as well. But I start eating more at night, subconsciously. Just me, I was just walking, fucking eat whatever I had there. I mean, all his cookies, everything else. And as I gained 150 kilos, eventually, I need to go to doctor and say I can't breathe anymore. And he says to Mari, what the fuck, I'm doing this. Your missus, your ex-one, mother of your child, don't think she sleep lightly. Because we can control everything, as you say, before you go home. But sooner or later, those walls come in there, and somebody's going to remind her. And this podcast, I'm congratulating you. You found the tool for not just every father, but every father should come on your podcast. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Join, whatever, spend time with you, pay for your time, whatever it is. Because this is the digital world. They can't break it. There is no law on this planet.
Yeah.
He can say Percy, you need to stop talking about, your daughter. And that's what she can't control. That's what they remind her. And I'm guarantee you it's going to be more and more and more because after a breakup, I can just say something. After one breakup, I spent hours, was following her on Instagram. Those days on Instagram was MySpace, everything. I was and a friend of mine, she says to me, why are you doing this? Do you know that everything what she posting there, she posted to piss you off? And that was the truth. But you're doing this to prevent people going crazy and bankrupt.
Yeah.
And she's watching you and listening to you, man.
Yeah, I have no idea. Well, when she emailed me saying she was going to sue me, obviously I had to put all the accounts on public, because the podcast for people to see. So obviously she's following. She's got, I don't know what account, I can't see, but there'd be a fake account, a friend's account, you know what I mean? But I don't care because you know what? You're a follower. You're a fan. You follow me from a fake account. Good on you. So,
she's watching you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She watched me all those years when we were together.
And your daughter, she's growing up. She's going to discover YouTube sooner or later. She's going to say, that's my dad.
Yep.
She's going to say my dad talks against me or, he couldn't see me. That's just it's when you're talking with spite and with anger and envy and jealousy and all these things and to hurt somebody, or you're talking here to help dads. Has anybody told you not to do the podcast?
Heaps.
Why is that? Tell me wildest reasons why somebody told you.
So some people say, oh, you can't talk about the system. They'll come and shut you down,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They say that, Section 121 of the Family Act, it's closed court. You can't speak about family court proceedings. But, this is legislation that protects the judges. So, long story short, people are scared of this legislation, Section 8, but when's it ever going to stop? When is the Australian public going to know about what's going on? When someone gives a platform for them to tell them. I'm not, So, my barrister said, criminal court, journos allowed in. Right, journos sit at the back. They just write any story. Family court, no journos allowed in. My parents weren't even allowed in. Yeah, unless invited by the judge. Yeah, so it's all close to it. So my barrister said, the only way you're going to change this, the only way they'll change it is if you let barristers in so they can tell the public about all these rulings that have been handed down, but they're not allowed in. So I look at the government and go, well, fuck you, because I'll be the person that tells everyone. Because I've bent over backwards and gave you everything, and you fucking shut down my throat, just like 100,000 other fathers. So I'll be the platform that you have the voice to expose it to the public. Because what happened to me has been happening to thousands of other fathers for a long time, and it's still happening now.
The difference between what you're doing here, you barely even spoke about court. You spoke about your experience. That's the difference. So it doesn't matter you talking to me on a podcast or behind closed doors. People are going to ask you, have you been there?
Yeah.
But there's an equal number of the podcasts there who talks about female favorites of women, you know what I mean, all these things. But one thing what you so like your podcast is not about just being the voice for the fathers or your, how to say, your experience. What has beginning has the end, and that's people need to be prepared. As you said, two things I heard from you: possible bankruptcy. I will not be end up in 3 months' time. Takes time, and that is biggest currency we can pay. It's our emotional toll.
That's right.
I couldn't imagine 3 years, man. I couldn't imagine 3 years. 49 hours in 2 years' time to see a daughter.
In the first year, yeah. But you know what?
That's
I've had a guy, there's a guy I keep in touch with. He's still going through court at the moment. He's quite well off. I think he's spent 1.2 million in 5 years. Still can't see his kids. 1.2, 5 years. He's going to come out at some point, but he can't. He's still going. But he's got to the point now where I do go, what's the point? Yeah, because we're not talking about criminal court, but it's family court. You're a father.
Yeah.
You're not up Shit Creek without a paddle. You're up Shit Creek without a canoe. It doesn't matter how much money you got. Like they put you in quicksand, and they learn the system. They learn that if you put a child abuse allegation in, well, that's going to restrict you from seeing. Even though there's no evidence, they stop you from seeing the child till they investigate it. How long is it going to take? Maybe 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. But in the meantime, however long it takes us to investigate, you can't see your child. So they learn these tactics to use against you to keep you in quicksand and in mud. You know, so.
I don't know how you stay normal. I'm serious. Like, I just try to understand. I've been some works for a couple of weeks, and when my son Mateo was like, I don't know, 2, 3 years old, man, I miss it. Like, I miss it that moment. I mean, even just over the phone. Today, I give you something. Today daughters are different. They're close to daddies. I tell you this because I see many buddies of mine. They have a situation with divorce, but the daughter always come back to father. I don't know what the story is. Son's always mommy's boys. I can see my boy. But one thing I say, like today, I give you comfort. I sent text to my son 3 days later. Dude, what's up? I was like, mate, I sent you a message on fucking Friday. Today it's Sunday. He's I'm sorry. Yeah. So I try to say to you, I don't know how you stay normal.
Yeah, everyone asks that.
I'm sorry.
No. I had to stay normal because the end goal is my daughter. Look, I made sure there was nothing that didn't jaywalk, didn't do nothing because they were always going to try and find something to use against me. But I can now that my daughter's gone. I reckon if I was one of those guys that are in prison for being falsely accused of a DV, if I was sitting in prison for 6 months over something that was fabricated, I reckon if I come out, that's when I'll probably do something stupid because I'm sitting in prison for something I haven't done over this falsely accused thing, just staring at the ceiling every night, going yeah, I don't know. It's
bless you. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Like how you can, I just saw it. Stop it. Like I'll never do this. I will sprinkle everywhere. I'm sorry, but it's like
nah.
That's what it is.
But yeah, you were saying before about your son didn't reply back. That's probably a military thing too. Like when we message, we expect communication.
Yeah, but exactly but then I see his mother, she gets the message instantly. It's like, so you send your mother the message straight away.
Right.
He said, but she's my mama. Who I am, who am I to you? It's like, dude. But I can understand this. But what I try to say, I never experienced this, so I can talk nothing, even remotely, that I can compare that that separation, because that's the most painful thing. It is separation. So I try to understand, how do you cope with this? So it's not just a military, because you need to find a way how to cope. Not every man is built like you, person.
Yeah.
Like you've been in a deep shit situation. I'm seeing your walls, which is I'm admiring this.
Thank you.
I try to understand, how the man can cope with this, because you need to stay mentally
that's right.
strong. That there's no gym for this.
No. Yeah, look, I think maybe my past life has played a part, reflecting back now after what you said. Don't get me wrong, when the family court came to an end, my mate, so what happened was when my family court came to an end, I made the sat down with the family I actually called my ex. I called her, first time I've spoken in years. And I said, listen, I'm done. I'm broken. You win. I'll give you everything you wanted. I'll give you full parental rights. I'll let you relocate back to England. I'll lift the alert off our daughter's passport and I'll drop the DVO on you that I've got. But you have to sign this financial binding agreement that, you know, I can't pay child support because, well, I've lost everything and I'm not going to see you again. You think she would have been excited? She said, nah, I want first class tickets. I want 50 grand cash and I want a car bought for me back in England. And I just threw the phone. Because this has never been about our daughter. This has just been about you breaking me, ending me, money, money, money. Then a stripper mentality, right? It's just money, money, money. So that night, I was getting ready for work. And I've got bulging discs from the army days, but I've done a lot of rehab, reform of Pilates yoga. The emotional stress that this woman has caused me over a 3-year period. I was getting ready for work. I remember it clear as day. I was rubbing my elbows, golfers and tennis elbows, killing me. So I was rubbing cream on it. My back gave way standing up. My bulging disc. I wasn't even lifting anything. The emotional stress that woman caused me, it just given way. I played a part of my lower back, just tensing, and my back gave. I was on the ground for 4 hours. I rang the ambos. I said, listen, I'm not a priority one, but I'm in pain. I can't move. I'm going to need to get to hospital. My dog lay by my side the whole time. 4 hours later, they came ambos come got me. Injected me with morphine, Valium, gave me green whistle. I went to hospital. I called my mate. He worked overseas for 10 years, private contracting. He was in Dubai at the time. And I said, I was gone. I was leaving this country. I was never coming back. I said, brother, I'm done. I'm going to sell the house. I'll transfer you that 50 and then I'm on a flight overseas, you know. Having contacts overseas, I was just going to go Thailand, train for 6 months, go to Dubai, whatever. But I wasn't coming back unless it was for a family funeral. I was done. And then he said, no, I've got the gig going on. I'm coming back. Like, I wasn't even interested, but he convinced me to stay. I went to this gig down south. And then I said, righto. And then we were kind of lucky because he was in hospital in Dubai. He had this veins cut out of his body. Standard surgery, like vascularity, something. So we were both laughing, like going, look at us, we're both in hospital, you know. So he goes, look, I'll be at home all week, resting. I said, yep, me too. So I was sort of bedridden, you know, the worst back flare-up I've had. I've had a fair few. So I was just on painkillers all week. I had paperwork to fill out to send down to another state, get this job going. And then, I had a missed call from one of the boys. I thought it was about work. I had a missed call from one of the other boys. Both these boys were in the same unit as him. And I just knew I just knew something happened. Because it was rare to have two guys from his unit call me. And I just knew something was up. And he passed away from a blood clot post-surgery. He died in his sleep. And at that point in time, family court had ended. I broke. You know, I was in debt. I was now 50. I obviously paid him back, but my best mate, one of my best mates had died. I was bedridden at home. And I obviously knew things were tough, right? But I didn't realise how bad I was because people were obviously quite concerned for my welfare. I had people outside I didn't even know. I had mates outside my house too, and opened the gate, opened the door. I was passed out on meds, you know, painkiller meds in my back. And the guy that I'd worked with, he used to feed my dog if I was ever away. He knew how to get in my house. He'd come around down the side. He was standing over my bed. I had no idea. He checked on me and left just to make sure I was still breathing, like I was just in a bad way at that time. And I was so... I thought I'd see I can say Melbourne. I was in Melbourne. I thought I'd see Melbourne through. It was hard because that's where I was supposed to move with him, and I used to walk past his unit all the time. But I hated Melbourne.
So what's changed? Why you continue living?
So I just thought, I need a fresh start because you know what, when you're in this nightmare, and fathers will understand when I say this, you didn't want to go out because you dread people going, oh man, how are you? What's the update on court? And you don't want to relive this nightmare every day you bump into someone. You don't want to, oh yeah, how's your daughter? Like, and you end up living a secret life. You say, oh, she's good. Like, so you don't want to keep telling people's nightmares. So I literally, I packed the car with as much clothes as I could. I chucked my dog in the back and I left. I left my house fully furnished. I sold it. I was so tapped on energy. I didn't even sell anything. I just told family and friends, I said, whatever you want, go to the house, take it. Washing machines, fridge, lounges, TVs, I left it. Took nothing. I just took my clothes and my dog, and I just packed up and I left. I was done. And I went down Melbourne. I was working. It was a good job. I wasn't enjoying Melbourne. People, traffic, trams.
Yeah.
Gold Coast is beautiful, sunny. You know, I love Gold Coast. You know, and yeah, I just left. But that point in time was probably the darkest. You know, so I should mention, child safety put this temporary assessment order on me. She went to child safety, alleged these allegations. I went to pick up my daughter one morning. They said you can't. Temporary assessment order. I had to go see child safety. This Bible full of allegations. Me and my lawyer's like, seriously. So I answered questions they asked, and I said, so she had been breaching court order for 3 months. I wasn't seeing my daughter for a 3-month period. Every second weekend, that's a breach of court order, right? It's supposed to be, court orders aren't worth the paper it's written on. I thought that was supposed to be something. So I said, what now? I've answered all your questions. They said, we're going to request an extension from the judge for a month, and we want to come inspect your house and speak to your family. I said, this is bullshit. So here's what happens. We put in our submissions. A week later, we went to court, put our submissions in to say that there doesn't need to be a month extension, and child safety pulled the application on their court. Pulled it. Great. You've pulled it. You've wasted our time, but you've pulled it. So we went to court, whenever it was a month later, filed all our submissions, affidavits. Child protection didn't even want to bar it. She went to child protection. So we submitted our affidavits, evidence that child protection don't want to bar it. Child safety pulled the temporary assessment order. We've squashed it. I've walked in 10 foot high again. I've missed out on all those hours every second weekend for the last 3 months. I want all the time awarded back to me. I want time reinstated with my daughter. We walked back in, same shit. Guess what he says? Has there been an investigation conducted? Like, yes, Your Honour, there has. We've submitted all the evidence. You should have read it. It's all been submitted. Don't have time to read it today. Come back in 3-4 months. But who the fuck do you think you are? I haven't done anything wrong. There's all the... I wanted to get up, go out the fucking back and read it. But instead, here you are, judge, $400,000 a year. Don't have time to read it. We're so backlogged. We're so useless. This government's so useless. But in the meantime, you have to go back to supervised care until I read the evidence. Read the fucking evidence now. It's right there. So he put me back on 3-4 months. Come back in 3 months. In the meantime, you go back on supervised care. I got up, I walked. And I said, it didn't matter if I had a barrister, like $10,000 that day. It didn't matter if I came in with a barrister or no barrister that day. That outcome was always going to be the same. Come back in 3-4 months. In the meantime, do supervised care. Me and my mum went to Beenleigh McDonald's. It's like a 30-minute drive from here.
Yeah.
Supervised my daughter at a Beenleigh McDonald's, and me and my mum looked at each other and said, I can't do this. Like all the hard work we've done in 3 years to get to where we are today, and now they've put us back on supervised care, back to like 1 hour. And I said, I'm not paying. I shouldn't have to pay for something done. And then my ex was like, well, I'm not paying. And then you get this back. I said, I broke. April last year, this was last time I saw my daughter. I was at McDonald's, and I couldn't do it. I'd be treated, having someone follow you around with a fucking clipboard and a set of keys, like it's the most humiliating. Like I remember we went down to Broadwater Parkland one time. I wear budgie smugglers. Me and my daughter used to wear matching budgie smugglers. This is summertime. We're around the water pool, everyone's swimming. I have someone fully clothed with a fucking board, what's it called? Clipboard and pen behind me. Everyone's looking. People can read body language. People clearly we're not in a relationship. And people are kind of looking like, to have someone come up and grab their kid's knee and walk away, it's the most fucking...
humiliating. It is.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah. I've had my first daughter's birthday. I've only had one birthday with my daughter, 1 hour in a supervised contact centre. That's it. The second birthday, of course, wasn't allowed. Third, she cancelled. Like, there's always an excuse. She had her third Christmas just before she left. That was my first Christmas for my daughter. I had her for 5 hours. I lost about an hour each way in traffic. So I only had 3 hours with my daughter at her third Christmas. That's it. No sleepover, no nothing. And I must say, my lawyer did warn me before we filed family court. He said, listen, I know your daughter's 6 months. You're not going to get a sleepover with her till after she's 2. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? What do you mean? He goes, man, because... when the child's under the age of 2, they don't want to separate the child from the mother in the nurturing phase.
Oh, come on, man. Like
a biological advantage. So that she stopped breastfeeding at 3 months.
Yeah.
By the time we got to court, it was 9 months. She told the judge, she's breastfeeding again because I have to feed every 2 hours. Another biological advantage. absolute bullshit. She stopped breastfeeding at 3 months. But biological advantage, the mother breastfeed, we can only give you an hour because she needs to be breastfed again. Absolute fucking bullshit.
Just as like, when I was flying yesterday here, I said to myself, Broken Father podcast. I mean,
says it in the name.
Yeah, like it's nothing broken. Actually, I think you're super. Right. I think you're super glue. I think you actually would.
Broken System podcast.
No. I think that you're super glue for every father. Because imagine how you've been on a truckie, driving between the Sydney and Melbourne. If I, listen to this podcast, of course you can. It's relatable. I mean, whatever we're talking about here, we talk about human life. After all, you can do, many podcasters over there, the fake Jay Shetty or whatever, Mel Robbins, all this. Everybody knows how to talk, when everything's pinky and rosy and everything is beautiful. But this is the life, you know what I mean? And again, I'm going to repeat to guys who are listening, don't see the video, you know what I mean? The Percy is a man who saw the action, so he's not afraid of death, clearly. But emotional toll, it's something we can't control. But yet you are here gluing every father back who is now listening, who is related to this story. What would be your final message to every father from your platform today in conversation with me? Because you and I, we could talk like forever. Now I'm hoping that, I'm just truly hoping, like, and I don't want to make a prophecy because I don't see the future. But I'm believing that you will be one day soon on TV, that people are going to ask you questions because the times are changing and, we have initiatives in your hand. So hopefully you're going to represent every single father, not just in Australia, but across the globe. But what would be your final message to every father who is going through that turmoil?
I might have to give a broad answer on this one. Because
please, for sure, like, what I mean?
No two cases are the same. I could sit here and say, fight to the end. But you know what? If you fight to the end, that probably means you might take your life. You know what I mean? Like, so I say fight till you can't fight no more. And by that, I mean fight until you're, if you're fighting and your mental health starts to deteriorate and you're taking in a bad place, then you're like, that's where you pull the pin. Or give yourself a budget. Like I always ask my guests before the end, knowing what you know now, what would you change or what advice would you give to the fathers? And most of them say self-represent. And to be honest, knowing what I know now, I would totally self-represent. However, I have never self-represented, so I don't know what it involves, but I'm sure in hell it would be hard. And apparently when you upload affidavits, the portal has to be in a certain font, has to be in a certain size. So there's a lot of work behind it. I've never self-represented.
Even judge doesn't read.
What's that, sorry?
Even judge doesn't read.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the judge's not going to read it. But,
I'm sorry, just like...
No, you're right, man.
Because when you say these things, you know what I mean? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Now I see the last image you say, Bingley, your mother and the daughter at McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
With the lady with the clipboard and the keys. And you say, you can't do this anymore. Then I've seen the image with the magistrate that says, investigation done, I didn't read. And now you're saying how difficult it is actually when you're self-representing yourself.
Yeah.
It is challenging.
Yeah. Look, I'll just sometimes look at self-representing. Be prepared that if you're going to go to family court, DV's, like if you break up, DV's going to just come up regardless because, it favours them going to family court. No take everything. If DV's there, don't reply to anything. Do your homework on law firms. Find someone that's be the driver, don't be the passenger. My guest number 2 said that. You're paying the lawyer. You tell them what you want. Don't just think they're the subject matter expert. Like we fall in that trap. You get a mechanic, it needs this. Okay, that's what the mechanic said. When you're sitting there with your legal team, you say, I want my daughter for fucking 3 hours. And if they come back, we'll just ask for 1. No, ask for 3. I'm paying you. If the judge says no, the judge says no. But I'm paying you to do a job. At least ask. Mate, I've seen, I've seen, like I had a Bosnian judge for my DV court.
Okay. Oh my God.
She was female, and I thought straight away, I'm fucked. Because she was female, I thought I'm fucked. She treated me better than the family court. If she asked me a question, I could actually speak. I could answer the question. And she saw it for what it is, and she threw it out. The family court, you know, like when, for example, when my barrister got up to ask the judge in DV court, he got asked the question. The amount of times where about my barrister would get up in the family court and the judge would just say, and they'll go like this, and just sit there. I've never seen, even the other side, I've never seen so many people, women, male, barrister, legal firms get so scared of a judge. Oh, they just sit down. Yes, sure. You just, like, ask the question. Oh, no, I don't want to ask it. Fucking ask it. What am I paying you for? Oh, I don't want to get yelled at by the judge. I don't give a fuck if you get yelled at the judge. I'm fucking paying you. Ask him for what I want. These are the demands I want. I want my daughter. Oh, like,
Jesus, man. Okay, I have 2 more questions actually.
man, ask as many as you want.
What message will be to your ex now? Did somebody ask you this?
No.
Okay, let's go.
No, I'll do it off the cap because I like to be authentic.
Yes. What will Percy say now to her? She's now with us in this room. The woman who makes every possible obstacle, every battle for you
Yeah.
so costly. She sits now next to us.
You know, you're the first love of my life. You know, there was a lot of good times. There was some bad times. Surprisingly enough, I forgive you for all the pain you've caused me. And I honestly wish you nothing but the best moving forward. You know, I hope you find someone and hope you settle to have kids. But mark my word, like, you're not going to brainwash our daughter. You know, you can tell her what you want. You can say what you want. But I will be here waiting for when she returns. You know, you might keep her till she's 18. I'm planned for that. And I've already planned for that, you know. Or when she's 18 and she can fly and make her own choices, I'll be here waiting with arms wide open. There's nothing, you can't control that. And you can't control the messages and all the evidence that I'll leave here, time and date stamp. I wish you nothing but the best. You know, and I've said this on many episodes before. To this day, the most memorable moment that I'll take to my grave was watching you give birth to our daughter. I'll take that to my grave. That was the best moment in my life to date. You know, watching, you know, as a father, you don't really realise, you know, until you're there. Like, I watch you give birth, and when our daughter came out, I'll take that to the grave, you know. It's a moment I'll cherish. And I forgive you for the pain, believe it or not, that you've caused and still cause, because I don't get to see my daughter. But mark my word, you can't control this podcast, and the messages are only in time and date stamped. And when she comes back looking for answers, you know, there's nothing you can do.
Can I legally ask name of your daughter, or you don't want to talk? Okay.
I can't say it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So imagine your daughter, she walks now. 18 years old. Say, Percy, you're my dad. I was watching your every single podcast episode. I was dying to see you. This is the what makes you the human. And everybody who is watching this right now, guys, I want you to soak this in. It's not what society portray you or friends try to make you look like. It's your actions. And today I'm sitting with a truly remarkable man, Jared Percival. And I have nothing than just to say I'm admiring you, because you have more balls than most of the men will ever have. Because that what you're going through, nobody can describe. Not the judge, not the lawyer, not the police officer, not the soldier. Nobody can. And I'd come today here to flog new diet about my six-pack. But I can't. But ladies and gentlemen, for the end, I want to close this podcast now. I want to say something. I want to hijack the Percy podcast now.
Go for it.
I want you to rally behind this man. I want you to take this podcast with you before sleep, whatever you do, going to gym, and take this as inspiration to fight what you love most. You know, I have nobody. I have only my son. I have no family. Everybody's dead. I remotely have nothing what you mentioned, parents and, you know, these things. But I'm grateful. Today I'm sitting in this podcast studio with a man who has many tattoos, been in the Middle East and other countries, saw the war, saw the action, painted as animal, is a human being who loves his daughter. So guys, cherish those who you love most. If you need inspiration, Percy is here for you. Support this podcast. And don't forget one thing. Today maybe we are living this life in the form we are. But tomorrow, most of you are going to find yourself in a position like a Percy. And he is the man. Broken Father Podcast. Subscribe, share, like, and comment. And that's the fucking order. Otherwise, I'm going to chase you everywhere.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Percy.